All right, well, welcome everybody. Excited to have a few teachers here and four students to have a discussion um, about Wheaton Academy. And tonight's theme really, for all those who are new to Wheaton Academy or looking to kind of get an inside snapshot to what our teachers are about and what our students are about, the theme is grow. And so we're going to navigate through a few questions that we can hear from students about kind of their Wheaton Academy journey, ways they've been challenged, ways that they've been stretched, some high moments that they've had with teachers or curriculars, and just really hopefully that this is a safe space to kind of share stories and laugh together and just kind of reflect on our time at Wheaton Academy and have fun while we do it. So we want to start with introductions. My name is Daniel Smith. I'm a math teacher at Wheaton Academy. This is my 5th year. I'm teaching pre-calculus, and I'm involved with a lot of other areas. I coach basketball. I'm involved with Project Lead, and I'm excited to be a part of the conversation tonight. I'll pass it off to you, Sean. Can you introduce yourself?
Well, hello. My name is Sean Yoon. I'm a senior here at Wheaton Academy, and I'm involved in cross country and project lead.
What's up? I'm Bryce Swift. I'm involved in basketball. D. Smith used to be one of my coaches, and so yeah, I play basketball and baseball here, and Coach Schweider is my other coach. So.
Awesome.
Oh, and I'm a senior. Sorry, I'm a senior. Sorry about
that. Hi, I'm Kennedy McClure. I'm a junior here at Wheaton Academy, and I'm in student council and volleyball, and I also do a lot of theater here. So
cool.
And I'm Lainey Reno. I'm a junior at Wheaton Academy, and I'm on the Furnace Company Dance and Improv team. That's the biggest thing that I'm a part of, and also spring musicals are a big thing.
And I am Caitlin Johnson, and I am a science teacher at Wheaton Academy. I also am involved with Project Lead, and I work a lot with our international students at Wheaton Academy. And another cool thing is I actually went to Wheaton Academy, and so I had my whole own growing experience from being a freshman at Wheaton Academy to being a senior, and now getting to teach students and watching them grow. So this is exciting to be part of this conversation tonight and just hear more about these students' experiences. So the first question we want to start with tonight is, how have you been challenged at Wheaton Academy?
I've been challenged, socially and academically. Like when I first came here, I came from a smaller middle school, and so I had my tight group of friends. But then when I came here, I couldn't see them as much, which was kind of sad, but it kind of forced me to make new friends, which was really nice because I've met some of the best people here. And it definitely challenged me though, because at first I was like, oh, how am I going to make new friends? I'm never going to make new friends. And it was actually really easy because everybody is so kind here. And then I've also been challenged academically because I'm in a few advanced classes and they're very challenging, but also the teachers are like really good about like being there for you. And I know one time in physics freshman year, actually, there's this concept that I was not getting. So I actually went to Miss Johnson and I asked her for help on it. She gave me some one-on-one time, and in about 5 minutes, I understood it. And it was just really nice to be able to go to a teacher and be able to talk to them about it.
Boom, Miss Johnson for the win.
Thanks, Kennedy.
That's awesome, Kennedy. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, I think for me.
Oh, sorry. You go ahead.
Got it, Lane.
Similarly with Kennedy, like socially definitely challenged. I was a part of the Wheaton Academy's partnership program, which was I was part-time Wheaton Academy and part-time this co-op that I was at. So my freshman and sophomore year, I only took one class at Wheaton Academy. And it was just my freshman year, it was super daunting, like coming to a bigger school than what I was at, and just, meeting new people and seeing people in the hallways. And especially this year when I have all 7 classes and I'm with people, all day, every day of the week, it's definitely just been a new challenge. socially, just like, you know, interacting with people a lot more. And it's been super exciting. And I'm so thankful that I've had the experience, especially before going off to college and just being able to interact with more people. And so I think that I've been challenged in that way, and it's been a super, super good experience.
Very cool.
Yeah, I think for me, definitely what Kennedy and Lena was saying about how just getting to know different people and growing in that. And I think for me, it's also spiritually been growing. I've been learning to take a lot more ownership of my faith at Wheaton Academy and taking ownership of just like how I can grow. And everyone around the school is really helping me as well. Beyond just the chapels on Tuesdays and Fridays, it's the teachers as well as those my peers as well that have been helping me spiritually grow. And I think that's probably one of the biggest ways I've grown at Wheaton Academy.
Yeah, I appreciate
Yeah,
you saying.
I'd have to agree with Sean a lot on that one. I mean, in middle school, I went to a public middle school, and we never really had like chapels or anything, and like it wasn't really Christ-centered education. And so like coming here, like Tuesdays and Fridays, chapel, like it's definitely brought me a lot closer to God. And I mean, my graduating class in middle school had 29 kids. So like going to a bigger school, it did challenge me socially at first, but now like I know like a lot of people. I'm a social butterfly, as they call it. But yeah, yeah, it's definitely challenged me with my faith and getting to know a lot of people. And it's been really nice. I have a ton of friends, and you know, it's nice to be able to, when you see somebody walking by, just to say hi, you know, and not, you know, just kind of do that awkward walk by, you know.
Yes.
Yeah.
I literally relate to that so much because freshman year, like I'd walk by people and I'm like, oh, I know them. I'm gonna look at my phone so I don't make awkward eye contact. And now, like, I'm just gonna say hi to everyone I know, and it's so much better that way. Like, it's so exciting. You just, even though we have masks, but you smile at them and you're like, oh, hey, how are you doing? And it's so much better than like trying not to make eye contact with the person that you have class with. Like, it's
Yeah,
just
so
Good.
follow-up question that's connected to that, because a few of you mentioned the social piece as being kind of way you were challenged. Did it happen naturally? What were some things that you did early on that plugged you in with different friend groups? I'm picturing myself as, you know, imagine somebody coming into Wheaton Academy that doesn't have many connections and had those same types of fears. What are some things that maybe worked for you all?
Part of it, I think, came naturally just because in classes, like you kind of became friends with them because sometimes you wouldn't understand something and you guys would talk about it together and try and figure it out. So part of it was natural, but also I joined a few new things. Like freshman year, I joined soccer, and I haven't played soccer since I was in like second grade. And so I met a whole new group of people there, and it was really nice because even though I don't play soccer anymore, we still always talk about that season and we still hang out sometimes. And then also doing theater has like brought in my like my group of friends because like we're literally spending hours upon hours together like every single day. And so you kind of have to be friends because you're just always together. And honestly, that's one of the reasons I love theater so much, is because I just make so many new friends.
Yeah, I think something that helped me at the beginning was in middle school, I had kind of like that set group of friends that I would always hang out with, that I would always be with. And when I got to high school, I I wasn't looking for just like, you know, those people to be friends with, or like that group of friends, but it was more like, oh, okay, I'm gonna go over here, I'm gonna talk to these people, I'm gonna get to know them. And it was kind of just, you know, whoever you meet in your classes, just talking with and trying to build relationships with, and not being too focused on like having that set of friends to do everything with. And that helped me so much because now in every class I have someone to talk to, and in the hallways, like I just see so many people that I know. And also just being involved like with the Furnace dance team and improv team. And also my older brother was at Wheaton Academy. And so I got to meet some of his friends, and it was really good not to have the mindset of like, oh, I need to find another group of friends that I had in middle school, but more just like, who can I meet and who can I be a light to? And yeah, so.
Yeah, I definitely think like the outside of school activities like really helps build relationships and like really that's kind of like an outlet because freshman year I played golf and that's right before school starts, and so I knew 20 kids right before school started. So that was, and I knew nobody going into Wheaton Academy. I was brand new, pretty much was a loner. But, you know, I met like 20 kids over the golf team and I became really good friends with them. And I felt a little bit less alone on the first day. I had a few classes with my buddies and I felt like it was a really good transition. And I mean, going along with friends, like you just kind of develop friendships over time. I mean, I didn't meet my closest friend until I was a junior, and me and him are still best friends to this day. So it's just kind of, you just develop those friendships, and sometimes they come out of nowhere and you don't even see it coming, but you just meet a lot of new people and get to know a lot of people. And so that's really a great benefit of, just kind of being in sports and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, it's hard for me to imagine you as a loner, Bryce, knowing you for the last 4 years. But I hear the common thread, and then we'll move to a new question. But I definitely feel like you guys are all pointing to kind of extracurricular activities as a great way to find people with common interests, find people outside of school where your guard is down or you're not focused necessarily on learning the content. You're able to relax, be yourself. Seems like you would all encourage anyone who joins Wheaton Academy's community to find ways to plug in.
Mhm.
Yes.
One thing too, I was thinking about my freshman experience going into Wheaton Academy, and back then we had freshman retreats, which we still have now. And I am actually still friends with people that I met on freshman retreat. And I came from a middle school where a lot of people went to Wheaton Academy. And so I knew a lot of people at the retreat, but I purposely was like, okay, this is my opportunity. Like I can meet new people. And I am a very shy person, but I was like, I got to put myself out there. And it challenged me so much. But just the other night, I had a bonfire and I was thinking, these are people that I met at my freshman retreat at Wheaton Academy, which is so cool to know that those things your freshman year, you could be building lifetime relationships with people. And so it's fun for me even to hear you guys talking about it, thinking, oh, in 10 years, you guys might be hanging out with these same people, and just the relationships that you're building here are going to continue to grow throughout who knows how many years, which is so cool.
So cool, for sure. So you talked a little bit about teachers and a little bit about kind of the classroom atmosphere. So Miss Johnson, I'm actually going to jump to the third because I think it flows, so you can follow the second one later if you want. But this is a broad question, so take a second to think if you need to, but I want you to describe Wheaton Academy's culture. Describe what we call a mature culture, and maybe you could talk about how that compares to, a quote unquote typical high school experience. Doesn't cover every high school, but what sets Wheaton Academy's culture apart, and kind of describe that mature culture.
Yeah, Wheaton Academy definitely has, as you said, a mature culture. One thing that Mrs. Clanky, the admissions director, said to us when we were looking at Wheaton Academy is that it's a mature culture. So we treat everyone at Wheaton Academy like an adult, like having their own responsibilities and schedules and stuff like that. And they'll definitely give us help and stuff like that. But that's just like, they almost expect, not like dauntingly expect, just like greatness from us. And I think it's just really cool. I compare it to my old school where, like, instead of like when some discipline needs to happen, let's just say like with phones and whatever, my old school would be like, hey, these few kids are like on their phones a bunch. Let's make the entire school put their phones in away at the beginning of class. No, Wheaton Academy, it's a good expectation that they like, hey, we know that you won't be using your phones in class, but if you do, we'll gently correct that for you. And I just think it's such a cool culture that Wheaton Academy's built off of.
That was great, Sean. Thanks.
Yeah, I think building off the idea of just like the expectations that faculty and staff have for us, I think of the word mature and I often categorize it as like adult, like wise, like you know what I mean? But we can't say that every student we have or all of us are these mature young adults necessarily, but it's the fact that the faculty and staff specifically tell us the expectations that they have for us. Like at the beginning of the year, we have community times on Mondays where they go through announcements and stuff. And I specifically remember freshman year them being like, look, like these are the expectations we have for you. And I just thought that that was really good just to come up front with it and just tell you like, hey, and also juniors and seniors get to go off campus for lunches and they say that, you know, that is a privilege for us. Like we're not entitled to just be able to leave for lunch and leave campus, but just that like we want to treat you like young adults and we want to trust you that you're going to be wise with the privileges that we give you. And so I think that we want to live up to these expectations because they also want to reward us and they show that they trust us. So it's not like you have to live up to these expectations, but it's more of a like we want to give you like we want to reward you for what you're doing because they treat us like we're young adults. And so I think that that's a big part of the mature culture is the way that faculty and staff treat the students.
Yeah, and it definitely has like a college feel to it. Being a senior now, I have to take looking at colleges a lot more seriously. I've realized. So I've been looking at a lot of colleges and really it's spread out just like a college. And so they're really ultimately preparing us for what a college is going to feel like ultimately. And just kind of you get that feel for it. And, you know, yeah, so that's pretty much what it's preparing us for is college ultimately. But
Yeah.
Yeah, and going back to like the faculty treating us like adults, I think one of the first things I remembered coming into Wheaton Academy was my coach for volleyball. She was saying, if you have a problem, if you want to talk to me, don't have your parent do it. Don't have your mom call me or email me. You need to come yourself. And I thought that was really interesting because I'm like, oh, I'm a little freshman. Why should I do this? And I realized that it's because they really want us to grow. And I think that's something that's amazing about Wheaton Academy, that the faculty, like they aren't just there just to have a job. They're there because they actually care about all the kids there and they want us to grow and they want to see us succeed. And so I think it's just amazing that they put this like faith in us and these expectations in us. And it's not like crazy high expectations expecting us to be perfect, but it's just something that we can work towards like as like during our years at Wheaton Academy. And I just think that's really cool.
Yeah, I coach basketball, and I've often heard it phrased this way that like a lot of good, programs. I think Wheaton Academy does this, and you all touched on it. There's not rules that you have to follow, but there's just standards that we all want to try to meet. And as a teacher, I want to give you guys props as well as students to say that you seem to always rise to those standards, and it's awesome to watch, and it's really helped kind of re-energize the way that I mean, like the potential that I see in young people of, hey, sometimes, we set these low bars and that's the bar that they hit. But when Wheaton Academy raises the bar, it's so often that you guys reach it and surpass it. So wanted to give you guys a shout out too.
Yeah, and I kind of want to add on to just like the preparation for college, because like Wheaton Academy gives us so much freedom that like if you're in a school where it's like really strict standards and stuff like that, like once you have that freedom, you're just going wild. Like we have like a computer, a Microsoft Surface. I don't know what it'll be next year in class, and like that's been like really helpful to learn how to stay disciplined and to stay on the Word doc instead of going onto YouTube. It's
I
something
hear
that like once you have the freedom to do that, like it'll be really hard to struggle with that. But Wheaton Academy has already set the expectation, and so then you're learning it now in high school, before college where it like really matters.
Mhm.
Great point.
That's awesome. I want to talk what Mr. Smith said about just how great all of you are with rising to expectations. I've had the opportunity to travel for Winterim, which is a 2-week program in January that Wheaton Academy does where students can take classes, they can do internships, or they can go on trips. And I've gone on multiple trips with Wheaton Academy students where we travel overseas, and so many times people who meet Wheaton Academy students for the first time are so impressed by how well you guys exceed expectations. And they are just shocked that you all are high school students. And so for me as a teacher, it's so exciting to be like, yes, these are high school students. And look at how they are rising to the challenges, rising to the expectations. So as a teacher at Wheaton Academy, I love having a mature culture where I have so many great students who rise to challenges and expectations. So just wanted to shout out all of you again for being so awesome. So we'll move on to our next question, which is how are you involved and how do you think that prepares you for the future? So some of you guys already mentioned how Wheaton Academy is preparing you for the future in college. So if you could tell me a few more things that you are involved with and how you think that helps you prepare for your future.
I for the past year or so, I've decided that I want to major in forensic psychology, and I want to go potentially either be a lawyer or do something in the psychology field. And so this year, I decided to take Intro to Psychology with Mr. Bowling, and honestly, that class is one of the highlights of my day because I can actually like see my future. Like, not only is it a really fun class, and Mr. Bowling is like super fun, but I can also like see my future and be like, wait, I'm gonna actually like do this with my life or whatever. And so it's just really cool to be able to use this to like prepare me for college and what I'm gonna do there and beyond. And so it's really nice. So there's Intro to Psych, and I'm planning on taking AP Psych next year. And I just think it's really cool that they have these types of classes that can prepare us for college.
Super cool.
I think, like I said earlier, I'm involved with the Furnace Company dance team, and I think Mrs. Wolfel does a really great job with preparing us spiritually as well for the future. She has her dancers, her students do lead devotionals. Like she'll ask you, hey, can you lead a devotional for this day? And it's never pressure. It's never like, you need to do this. It's just asking, like, hey, will you do this? And it just shows us that it's so important to prioritize our relationship with Christ and spend time with Him because already, like me being full time this year and being in a much more strict schedule, it's so easy for me not to spend time with the Lord, like in the morning or before I go to bed, just with everything I have going on. So just preparing us and just showing that it's a priority to spend time with the Lord every day. And even in choir as well, Mr. Visker has students also try and lead devotionals, and there's always prayer before class, and it's so refreshing to be in an environment where you can pray before class. And my math teacher, Mrs. Prempis, she prays before we take a test for all of us, just that our anxiety will be gone. And it's so good to have that and just to be able to talk to the Lord freely whenever.
Yeah, good insight. All right, Sean, you don't have to add anything, but if anything popped up.
Yeah, no, I think for me, my biggest commitment and time outside of classes is definitely spent on cross country. And I can see this for any sport, whether it being golf or basketball or soccer or volleyball or all the other sports that I'm missing, even like fishing club that's coming up. I think it's really cross country has taught me how to stay disciplined. Like knowing that the stuff you eat before a race matters, and like that just doesn't like connect just to the race the next day, but that connects to basically your entire life and playing the long game, and like not making like short decisions that'll have temporary satisfaction and you'll lose the long game. Whereas being disciplined in your academics, physical, exercise, or spiritual, like every single day, will really have a profound effect on the long game and where you go in life. And Felinski is just the best coach ever.
Hopefully.
And a great math teacher, as someone who had him as a math teacher.
Anything you want to add, Bryce, or we can move on? I got another question ready to roll.
I thought they summed it up pretty well. Like, I think they explained everything that you could possibly say. So
Perfect.
Yeah.
So we've talked a lot about kind of extracurriculars. I want to hone in a little bit on the classroom now. And I'm just curious, how have you been supported academically by teachers, peers, student services, like anything? Just kind of talk about the academic side of Wheaton Academy, maybe some of the harder classes you've taken, and just how you've been supported in those areas.
I can start off this one. So sometimes, everybody has difficulties in classes, and sometimes you just don't get things. And I feel like every teacher that I have, asked for help, they've been more than willing, whether it's meeting at lunch, meeting after school, making time, even if they're coaches, just making that time for the students and really putting the students first over themselves, and making sure that their grades are a priority, and that they feel like they are the priority, and that the teachers feel that the students feel important to them. So I feel like that's really big help when you need help, to ask for it, and that the teachers are always more than happy to help. So.
And are you nervous to ask for help? Were you ever, or were you somebody like, is approaching a teacher something intimidating, or once you did it once, you realize it's not that bad?
Yeah, I feel like the first time is always the hardest for a lot of things you do in life. And, I feel like once you get out of the way, it's just pretty easy. And then that really just, it basically depends on the first teacher. That just reflects everything else, because once you ask that first teacher, it opens up a lot of doors for the other ones, because you're like, hey, can I just get a little help on this? Yeah, sure. So, yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, I would definitely say the same thing. It's like I always feel like I can talk to my teachers about any problems I'm having in the class or anything, or ask them for help. Like I can shoot them a text or an email, and they'll always respond, and they'll always just be willing to help me. And like I said before, they're actually like involved in our learning, and like they want us to grow, they want us to succeed. And I think that's just really great, because I feel like a lot of people feel like teachers are just there to work, and like they don't really care about the kids. But here at Wheaton Academy, you can really tell that the teachers really care about their kids. And it's so nice to be able to come to school and not like, I don't think I've ever not really liked one of my teachers. It's just really nice to come into class and just be there with a teacher that you like and that you're comfortable with asking questions to. And like Bryce said, once you talk to one teacher, it kind of like opens up the possibility to ask other people, because it's just that much easier. And I just love the fact that the teachers are always really open to conversations.
Thank you. Sean, Laney, anything to add?
I think something that I've noticed is the teachers they're really honest. Like Miss Johnson, you as an example. Like some days I'll walk into physics class and she'll be like, "Oh wow, it's been a long day." Like, there's been some challenges, and I'm like, same for me. Like, you're human, I'm human. Like, oh my goodness, like same. It's been a long day. And they're just like, they're not afraid to tell you that. Like, they're not raising themselves on a pedestal and being like, really like hovering over you, teaching you, but they really are just wanting to go alongside you, if that makes sense. And they're not acting like they're superior to you, but they're just like, oh, it's been a long day or whatever. So
I appreciate you saying that. I love it. Teachers are humans too. You're right on that one. We are.
Mhm.
Yeah. And beyond just the teachers, you could spend all day talking about how great they are, is also like the tutoring center and those outside of just the teachers that are specifically there to help you. I've definitely learned a lot from Mrs. Kozlowski for ACT prep, and just how much she's really helped me like figure out the test and all that stuff. And beyond that, like you can go to different people for like if you're getting stuck in biology or like not understanding some type of math, like there's like people at Wheaton Academy that is there for that. And I think that just blows me away, because when the teachers have like aren't able to really fit the schedule, which is pretty rare, there's people at Wheaton Academy to help you.
Good point.
Thanks. I would say even as a teacher, it's so great. I taught at another school before this, and one thing I love about Wheaton Academy that I kind of brought up before is just the relationships that we get to have with not only our colleagues, but with the students too. And so it's great to not only support you academically, but also get to see you guys grow up over your 4 years. And I think my first year at Wheaton Academy, I had a class, and when I got to see them become seniors and seeing them grow in so many areas over those 4 years, that was some of the biggest joy for me, because I was like, oh, I remember what you were like in freshman physics. Here you are as a senior. And like that just brings me so much happiness. And that is what makes me love doing my job and love coming to work every day. So I love having all of you as students too. So kind of going along that is how have you seen yourself grow compared to your freshman self? So we as teachers see you grow, but how do you think you have grown since your freshman self?
So I feel like I was kind of like a little awkward freshman year. Like whenever someone tried to talk to me, I'd just kind of be like, yeah, like get really scared. Like, I don't know, I'd get really like, just like flustered. And so like now I could have a conversation with anybody for an hour, I feel, like it's kind of runs in my blood too. I'm a Swift. We just like to talk. And so I feel like I could do that all day, but yeah, I feel like I've grown a lot since freshman year, just in terms of socially, like the biggest, just, again, just like I said earlier, going and just saying hi to people in the hallways. Like I didn't really do that freshman year unless I really knew somebody. And so now I feel like even, as a senior, I try and reach out to the freshmen a lot more and, hey, what's up? How you doing? And through a lot of the basketball players, especially. So I, that's kind of a big thing as a senior. I remember when I was a senior, I used to look at when I was a freshman, I used to look at the seniors like they were just like these grown people, and like I respected them so much. And so like if one of them said hi to me, I would go crazy, So I feel like me doing that to them, like I know how it feels. So I try. So
That's great, Bryce. I teach freshmen, and I wish you guys could know how many times freshmen will come in and be like, so and so said hi to me, and it would make their day. And I had freshmen write notes to me the other week, and some of them wrote about how their project lead, which is our ministry team, they have senior mentors, and some of them wrote about their senior mentors, like took them out to lunch or said hi to them in the hallway. And those little things are such a big deal. And how cool it is that you guys are now the seniors getting to say hi to the freshmen. And it really does make their day.
Yeah.
No, basically going off of that, freshman year I came in and I'm pretty extroverted already, but I wasn't planning on really stepping outside of my comfort zone, and I was gonna just stick with my friends and not talk to anyone else. But I realized, like I said before, a lot of my friends were in different classes, so I kind of was forced to. And then I knew a few people when I got to sophomore year, I knew a few people in the freshman class. And that kind of started me saying hi to them like every single day. I kind of adopted them and like I call them my children and stuff. And they're so sweet and I love talking to them and they come to me for advice and it makes me feel good that I can help them. And also it like you said, like it makes their day kind of. And so I try and say hi to people in the hallways as much as I can. And like I try and smile, but of course the mask. And but I know my friends always tease me because I'm always stopping every 5 seconds in the hallway to talk to someone new. And so I really like to talk, but it's just really nice to connect with other people in different grades and like see how their experiences are that year compared to mine. And like I tell them about certain teachers and like I'm just like connect with your teachers, they're so cool. So it's just really nice to be able to talk to them and hang out with them and just kind of give them my wisdom per se as an upperclassman.
Sure.
Yeah, I think for me is I've definitely grown just to be more of a leader since the first day of school. Like the first day of school, you're kind of like you're a freshman and you're just like following other people around and getting leadership and mentorship. Like I loved when a senior would pour into me. It was just like I felt on top of the world as a freshman, and like a senior being genuine and caring for me. And so then as the years go on, it's like, okay, now I'm a sophomore. Okay, now I'm a junior. Okay, now I'm the senior that has the opportunity to pour into someone else's life and to really have just an incredible impact. And so I've definitely grown in my years to remember that, like, even as a senior, and you can be it as a freshman. I'm learning from my freshmen in my Project 9 group, just to be a leader in what you can do and what you do great.
Awesome.
I think for me, coming in my freshman year, kind of what Bryce was talking about, like I looked at the seniors and I'm like, whoa, they're top of the school, and the juniors too. I'm like, wow, they're big and intimidating. But now being a junior and being friends with lots of seniors, like we don't view ourselves as kind of like top of the school. Like I get to be in physics class with lots of freshmen and I love talking with them and hanging out with them. Like it's such a fun class to be in because there's other juniors in it with me and there's freshmen, and it's just so much fun because like Wheaton Academy does a good job with not really segregating freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, but we're all a community and it doesn't matter what grade we're in, what year we're in, we can all talk with each other and build relationships with each other. And there's a freshman in my physics class who I've become such good friends with, and she's just so sweet and I love talking with her and hanging out with her. And so I wish coming in freshman year I didn't have this mindset of like, oh, juniors and seniors, they're top of the school, upperclassmen. If I were to do it again, I'd just be like, we're all in high school. We're high schoolers, and I can go up and talk to them. Like they don't have to come to me. So yeah, it's just.
That's awesome. And I already had so much respect for you for already, but I don't know if you noticed, but it's like Miss Johnson poses a question to you about, how you've grown since your freshman year. And a lot of people could take that and brag about a lot of different things and talk about this skill and that skill, and I've done this and I've done that. But the theme between all four of you is almost how you've learned how to give back to others as you've grown, and you've learned more about service, and you notice things that people poured into you, and you're trying to now learn how to give that back. And so that's just amazing. And it was so cool to hear each of your stories. And as a teacher, it's so valuable when the upperclassmen really lean in to mentoring, when they lean into setting the standard, when they lean into building relationships. Because oftentimes as a teacher, not only are we teaching the content, but we're worried about making connections. And when we see the students doing that naturally, it's just awesome. So that was really cool to hear you guys kind of say that. Well, let's see. I think we got maybe one last question to kind of wrap us up here. and it's kind of related. You can imagine you're saying this to a freshman or to an incoming transfer, but what advice would you give to a student doesn't know much about Wheaton Academy other than maybe visited or saw the website a few times? What's some advice that you would give to a student who's thinking about coming or is planning on joining Wheaton Academy in a year or two?
I would say get involved with really as many activities as you can. Like, we have 4 years of high school and that's it. And I think I kind of wasted a lot of time, I guess, freshman and sophomore year. And I wish that I did more, just because freshman year, when I made it on Furnace Company, Mrs. Wolfel was one of the first teachers that I really talked to and met. And she, like, I talk to her all the time and I can go to her with anything. And just building relationships with teachers, I think, is also super important. Don't be afraid to go and talk to your teacher about anything. And it's just, it will make your experience better if you're not like afraid of your teacher, if you're not shying away from your teacher, because you see them every day and you don't want to be sitting in class with them and being like, oh my goodness, they're so scary. Like, talk to them about how you're feeling. And I think that that's a really important part.
Yeah, definitely make good connections with your teachers. Like, I've made some like great connections with some of my teachers, and we can just talk about either schoolwork or stuff that's going on in my life. And it's just really nice to be able to talk to someone older who's like been through high school and is able to give you advice on certain things, or honestly just let you rant about like how stressed you are or anything. Because we all need to rant sometimes. And I last year for the sophomore mentor project, basically in Bible class, we have to pick a teacher or some type of mentor to just like talk to and talk through these questions that our teacher gives us. And so I picked Mrs. Burek, who is the director of the spring musical and also teaches intro to drama. And honestly, I just formed the best connection with her. And she gave me a lot of amazing advice that I still use to this day. And it was so nice. Like, when I first came in, I thought she was like so scary. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's Mrs. Burek. Oh my goodness. And then I finally was like, you know what? I'm going to ask her to be my mentor. And she honestly, this was before Corona. So she gave me a big hug when I asked. And so, yeah, we had the best conversations. Like, we just went to Starbucks and talked, and it was just really nice to be able to talk to a teacher. So I would definitely say make good connections with all of your teachers, because you never know like when you're just going to need advice on either schoolwork or just things in your life.
Yeah, it's a good little story.
These are kind of this one kind of goes out to the kids that are kind of on the fence about going to Wheaton Academy. So I all middle school, I grew up playing basketball and just sports in general with all my buddies. They go to different schools, and so I was really, like set on going into a different school. And I did not want to go to Wheaton Academy. I was like, I don't know anybody there. I don't want to go. Like, no, it's not an option. My parents were like, all right, just give it a try. I was like, no. So then my parents set up an interview behind my back. So I go to this interview. I'm like, I'm not going here. I don't know why we're here. And so I got a tour of the campus. I was like, it's not that bad, I guess. It's all right. And so my parents were like, well, we think it'd be a really good fit. So I was like, you know what? All right, fine, I'll try it. But if I don't like it, I'm transferring. So, well, here I am 4 years later. And yeah, so I would really say, like, just give it a chance. And you know what? It might take a little time, but you'll grow to love it. I was really set. I did not want to go. I just was like, no, I don't want to do this. It was brand new. I was so comfortable with not putting myself out there and just being kind of in my own world, and just like everything else seemed in place. And so something brand new just sounded like the worst thing in the world that could happen. And it actually turned out really good. And like I said, I've just made friendships that hopefully I have the rest of my life. And, yeah, it's just been a really great experience. So honestly, if you're on the fence about it and you're not really sure, or if you don't want to come, it's worth giving a chance because, you know, you could be me 4 years later and not regretting a thing. So.
It's awesome, Bryce.
Man, I think we could go on this topic of what advice we would give all day. There's so much good advice. I think one thing that I would say is like coming into school, just like have the underlining foundation that nobody's cool at school. Like there's nobody too cool to be like where they are. And then once you get that out of the way, then everyone else seems like they're on the same level. So that way, like a freshman can come up to me or to Bryce, like a senior, and just like talk to them. And like so often, not so often, but we sometimes get into this, okay, you break out of your comfort zone, you get your friend groups, and then you stick with those. But there's like so many cool people at Well, I just said nobody's cool, but at Wheaton Academy, there's just so many cool people that have stories, and that once you know that you're on the same level as them, like, oh my goodness, it makes such a big difference.
Great advice.
Thank
I
you.
I'm not gonna lie, that's pretty funny, Sean.
I also just want to say the importance of talking to your parents about what's going on at school and having them involved too. Like it makes it so much better because your parents are your cheerleaders, your biggest fans. Like they adore you. They want to send you to the school that's best for you. And also I think just by growing your relationship with your parents while you're in high school is so crucial before you go off to college. And just, I think sometimes it can be easier to talk to our friends or our teachers about, you know, the hard day that we've had. And then we get home and your parents start drilling you with questions about how was your day? How was this class? What'd you do in this class? And you're like, I've been talking to people all day. I just want to go to my room, get my homework done. But it's so important to talk to them about what is going on in your life, because then, you know, your teachers are cheering for you when you're at school, and then you come home and your parents are wanting to cheer for you and just know what's going on, and just you feel just so loved and just like you're surrounded by people who love you, and it's amazing.
That's a good word.
Yeah,
Thanks.
I can agree with that a lot. I think that's a really good point. I you know, a long day of school, it's tough. It's tough to sit down with your parents and have a
Tough.
conversation. It's tough. I can tell you, even at dinner, I just want to sit there and eat my food with my head down. I don't want to talk to anybody, you know? So I feel like that's a really solid point. Like, you know, not only should you be having conversations with people at school and building relationships there, but like your family is the closest people to you. And, you know, they're not with you every step of your day, you know? And so you just saying, oh yeah, it's good. You know, I tend to do that a lot. I'm the first person to tell you I do that pretty much every day. So, you know, I feel like that's a really solid point. Like, you know, opening up and, you know, so.
Well, hey, you know us teachers can't not give advice every now and then. Don't forget, when you get old and grow up like me and you move far away from your parents, you start to miss them. Maybe not in high
Yeah.
school much, but just know it's coming. So enjoy that. I'm glad you said that. Lean into that.
Yeah.
Well, hey, this has been awesome. It was so good to hear y'all's perspective, learn more about you, and the theme was grow, and just so many cool stories about ways that you've grown, ways that we've all grown, the ways that Wheaton Academy has affected our lives. And I feel like one thing that I've picked up from this session is that it's not just in one area, it's not just in the classroom, but Wheaton Academy really cares about growing the whole person, your spiritual life, your social emotional life, your athletics, your academics, and I think so many of the stories that you told really showed that Wheaton Academy cares about the entire you. So thank you so much for joining the conversation, being vulnerable, sharing stories, taking a risk. It was a pleasure. And so I appreciate it.
Yes.